Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a lovely day today. I hope you all are ready for some whispering ASMR. And I don't have a mic for this, so I have just opened the threshold of my current mic, and I hope it sounds okay. Oh, you aren't supposed to see that. You hear something? You probably hear a little bit of my background. There is no background. There's no background. You can't hear the background. Okay, good. I'm glad. If it sounds weird, please let me know. But we will be reading. My hat is dope. Thank you, Bishy. If you guys don't know Bishy B, they're an actual ASMR streamer. We are only doing ASMR because this was a charity event, and this was a milestone for that charity event. That's where we are today. I don't know if I'm doing this right. I've never done ASMR before. So here we go. We're gonna be reading Japanese fairy tales today. Pull away from the mic a touch. Okay. Thank you for the follow, sir. Is that better? I feel like you can't hear me. You can hear me. Okay. Well, alright. Japanese fairy tales. You all voted for this on Twitter. So here we are. There's a bunch of different ones. Let's see. I will read. There's one called The Star Lovers. That sounds cute. I did not pre-read these, so I guess we'll see if they sound okay or not after I read them. Also, I have a cup of tea here that I forgot to stir the sugar with. And I really don't want to make a lot of noise, so I'm gonna mute for just a second while I stir my cup of tea. Okay, tea has been stirred. We are going to be reading The Star Lovers, which is a Japanese fairy tale. And it starts like this. All you that are true lovers, I beseech you pray the gods for fair weather upon the 7th night of the 7th moon. Patience' sake, and for dear love's sake, pray and be pitiful that upon that night there may be neither rain, nor hail, nor cloud, nor thunder, nor creeping mist. Snail, I'm sorry, I think my bot is broken. I'll have to send you that link later. Hear the sad tale of the star lovers and give them your prayers. The weaving maiden was the daughter of a deity of light. Her dwelling was once upon the shore of the Milky Way, which is the bright river of heaven. Thank you so much, 100 biddies. Hello, Emma. It's so good to see you. I have never done ASMR before, and I am sorry if I'm doing this wrong. I love you all very much. Hello, Be Extremely Gaming. Welcome in. Hope you're having a lovely day. Where was I? Okay, the weaving maiden. All the day long she sat at her loom and plied her shuttle, weaving the gay garments of the gods. Warp and woof, hour by hour, the colored web grew till it lay fold on fold at her feet. Still she never ceased her labor, for she was afraid. She had heard a saying, sorrow, age-long sorrow, shall come upon the weaving maiden when she leaves her loom. So she labored, and the gods had garments to spare. She herself, poor maiden, was ill-clad. She recked nothing of her attire or of the jewels that her father gave her. She went barefoot and let her hair hang down unconfined. Ever and anon a long lock fell upon the loom, and back she flung it over her shoulder. She did not play the children of heaven, or take her pleasure with celestial youths and maidens. She did not love or weep. She was neither glad nor sorry. She sat weaving, and wove her being in the many-colored web. Take a sip of my tea. Hang on. Now her father, the deity of light, grew angry. He said, daughter, you weave too much. Oh, thank you, Appleton. You're such a sweetheart. It is my duty, she said. At your age to talk of duty, said her father, out upon you. Wherefore are you displeased with me, father? she said, and her fingers plied the shuttle. Are you a stock or a stone, or a pale flower by the wayside? Nay, she said, I am none of these. Then leave your loom, my child, and live. Take your pleasure, be as others are. And wherefore should I be as others are, she said. Never dare to question me. Come, will you leave your loom? She said, sorrow, age-long sorrow, shall come upon the weaving maiden when she leaves her loom. Foolish saying, cried her father, not worthy of credence. What do we know of age-long sorrow? Are we not gods? With that he took her shuttle from her hand gently and covered the loom with a cloth. And he caused her to be very richly attired, and they put jewels upon her and garlanded her head with the flowers of paradise. And her father gave her for spouse the herd boy of heaven, who tended the flocks upon the banks of the bright river. Now the maiden was changed indeed. Her eyes were stars, and her lips were ruddy. She went dancing and singing all the day. Long hours she played with the children of heaven, and she took pleasure with the celestial youths and maidens. Lightly she went, her feet were shod with silver. Her lover, the herd boy, held her by the hand. She laughed so that the very gods laughed with her, and high heaven re-echoed the sounds of mirth. She was careless. Little did she think of duty or the garments of the gods, and for her loom she never went near it for one month's end to another. I have my life to live, she said. I'll weave it into a web no more. And the herd boy, her lover, clasped her in his arms. Her face was all tears and smiles, and she hid it on his breast. So she lived her life, but her father, the deity of light, was angry. What do you have to be angry about, Father? You told her to do this anyway. It is too much, he said. Is the girl mad? She will become the laughing stock of heaven. Besides, who is to weave the new spring garments of the gods? 3 times he warned his daughter. 3 times she laughed softly and shook her head. Your hand opened the door, Father, she said, but of a surety no hand either of God or mortal can shut it. He said, you shall find it otherwise to your cost. And he banished the herd boy for ever and ever to the farther side of the bright river. The magpies flew together from far and near. They spread their wings for a frail bridge across the river, and the herd boy went over by the frail bridge, and immediately the magpies flew away to the ends of the earth, and the weaving maiden could not follow. She was the saddest thing in heaven. Long, long she stood upon the shore, and held out her arms to the herd boy, tended his oxen, desolate and in tears. Long, long she lay and wept upon the sand. Long, long she brooded, looking on the ground. She arose and went to her loom. She cast aside the cloth that covered it. She took her shuttle in her hand. Age-long sorrow, she said, age-long sorrow. Presently she dropped the shuttle. Ah, she moaned, the pain of it. She leaned her head against the loom. But in a little while she said, "Yet I will not be as I once was. I did not love or weep. I was neither glad nor sorry. Now I love and I weep. I am glad and I am sorry." Her tears fell like rain, but she took up the shuttle and labored diligently, weaving the garments of the gods. Sometimes the web was gray with grief, sometimes it was rosy with dreams. Gods were fain to go strangely clad. The maiden's father, the deity of light, for once was well pleased. "That is my good, diligent child," he said. "Now you are quiet and happy." "The quiet of dark despair," she said. "Happy? I am the saddest thing in heaven." "I am sorry," said the deity of light. "What shall I do?" "Give me back my lover." "Nay, child, that I cannot do. He is banished forever and ever by the decree of a deity that cannot be broken." "I knew it," she said. "Yet something I can do. Listen. On the 7th day of the 7th moon, I will summon the magpies together for the ends of the earth, and they shall be a bridge over the bright river of heaven, so that the weaving maiden shall lightly cross to the waiting herd boy on the farther shore. So it was, on the 7th day of the 7th moon, the magpies from far and near, and they spread their wings for a frail bridge, and the weaving maiden went over by the frail bridge. Her eyes were like stars, and her heart like a bird in her bosom, and the herd boy was there to meet her upon the farther shore. And so it is still, O true lovers, upon the 7th day of the 7th moon, these two keep their tryst. Only if the rain falls with thunder and cloud with hail, and the bright river of heaven is swole and swift, the magpies cannot make for a bridge for the weaving maiden. Alack, the dreary time. Therefore, true lovers, pray the gods for fair weather. Scalabel, thank you so much. I hope you have a lovely day at work. You're very amazing, and you all are very special to me. And that was The Star Lovers. That was a really cute story. I will say, the father was kind of a dick, though. Until the very end. Just saying. Alright, for the next story, we have The Moon Maiden. Don't laugh. Listen. It's fine. Alright. Our next story is The Moon Maiden. There was an old bamboo cutter called Take Tori. He was an honest old man, very poor and hard-working, and he lived with his good old wife in a cottage on the hills. Children they had none, and little comfort in their old age, poor souls. Take Tori rose early upon a summer morning and went forth to cut bamboos, as was his wont, for he sold them for a fair price in town, and thus he gained his humble living. Up the steep hillside he went, and came to the bamboo grove, quite wearied out. He took his blue tengui and wiped his forehead. "Alack for my old bones," he said. "I am not so young as I once was, nor the good wife either, and there's no chick nor child to help us in our old age. More the pity." He sighed as he got to work for Take Tori. Soon he saw a bright light shining among the green stems of the bamboos. "What is this?" said Take Tori, for as a rule it was dim and shady enough in the bamboo grove. "Is it the sun?" said Take Tori. "No, that cannot well be, for it comes from the ground." Very soon he pushed his way through bamboo stems to see what the bright light came from. Sure enough, it came from the root of a great big green bamboo. I love green. Green's my favorite color. I don't know if you guys knew that. Take Tori took his axe and cut down the great big green bamboo. Why would you do that? That's so mean. And there was a fine, shining green jewel the size of his 2 fists. "Wonder of wonders," cried Take Tori. "Wonder of wonders. 35 years I've cut bamboo. This is the first time I've found a great big green jewel at the root of one of them." With that, he takes up the jewel in his hands, and as soon as he does that, it bursts in two with a loud noise. If you'll believe it, and out of it came a young person, stood on Take Tori's hand. You must understand The young person was small but very beautiful. She was dressed in all green silk. "Greetings to you, Take-Tori," she says, as easy as you please. "Mercy me," says Take-Tori. "Thank you kindly, I suppose. Now, you'll be a fairy," he says, "if I'm not making too bold in asking." "You're right," she says. "It's a fairy I am, and I'm come to live with you and your good wife for a little." "Well now." Oh, hang on, there's an ad in progress. I'm gonna wait till the ad stops. How are you all doing? I hope you're having a good night. I'm gonna take a sip of my tea while we wait for the ads to stop. Also, I really hope the ads aren't too loud for those that aren't subscribed. I was trying to make this stream as quiet as possible. You made some boba? That sounds amazing, Emma. I love boba. I'm sorry, Appleton. I wish there was a way to stop the adpocalypse. Unfortunately, I can't stop it. I will try to watch next time, though. Yeah, I don't get to pick the ads. It's very unfortunate, but, I mean, it's part of the world, ads. Okay, I think the ads have finished. Welcome back, anyone who was in Adpocalypse. I paused, and I waited for you to come back. Alright, I'm gonna pick back up where we left off. Okay. Let's see. So she just said that she was a fairy. And he says, "Well now," says Take-Tori, "begging your pardon, we're very poor. Our cottage is good enough, but I'm afraid there'll be no comforts for a lady like you." "Where's the big green jewel?" says the fairy. Take-Tori picks up the two halves. "Why, it's full of gold pieces," he says. "That will do to go on with," says the fairy. "Why, it's full of gold." Oh, that's a long line. "And now, Take-Tori, let us make home." Home they went. "Wife, wife," he cried, "here's a fairy come to live with us. She has brought us a shining jewel as big as a persimmon, full of gold pieces." The good wife came running to the door. She could hardly believe her eyes. "What is this?" she said. "About a persimmon and gold pieces? Persimmons I have seen oft enough. Moreover, it is the season, but gold pieces are hard to come by. Let be, woman," said Take-Tori. "You are dull." And he brought the fairy into the house. I'd slap that man. He called me dull. Anyway, wondrous fast the fairy grew. Before many days were gone, she was a fine, tall maiden, as fresh and as fair as the morning, as bright as the noonday, as sweet and still as the evening, as deep as the night. Taketori called her the Lady Beaming Bright because she had come out of the shining jewel. Taketori had the gold pieces out of the jewel every day. He grew rich, spent his money like a man. But there was always plenty and to spare. He built him a fine house. He had servants to wait on him. The Lady Beaming Bright was lodged like an empress. Beauty was famed both near and far. Scores of lovers came to seek her hand, but she would have none of them. Taketori and the dear good wife are my true lovers, she said. I will live with them and be their daughter. So 3 happy years went by, and in the 3rd year, the Mikado himself came to woo the Lady Beaming Bright. He was the brave lover indeed. Lady, he said, I bow before you. My soul salutes you. Sweet lady, be my queen. Then the Lady Beaming Bright sighed, and great tears stood in her eyes, and she hid her face in her sleeve. Lord, I cannot, she said. Cannot? Said the Mikado. And why not, oh dear Lady Beaming Bright? Wait and see, Lord, she said. Now, about the 7th month, she grew very sorrowful, and would go abroad no more, but was for long upon the garden of Taketori's house. There she sat in the daytime and brooded. There she sat at night and gazed upon the moon and the stars. There she was one fine night, when the moon was at its full. Her maidens were with her, Taketori and the good wife, the Mikado, brave lover. How bright the moon shines, says Taketori. Truly, said the good wife, it is like a brass saucepan well scored. See how pale and wan it is, said the Mikado. It is like a sad, despairing lover. How long and bright a beam, quoth Taketori. It's like a highway, the moon reaching to this garden gallery. Oh dear foster father, cried the Lady Beaming Bright. You speak truth. It is a highway indeed, and along the highway come countless heavenly beings swiftly to bear me home. My father is the king of the moon. I disobeyed his behest. He sent me to earth 3 years to dwell in exile. 3 years are past, and I go to mine own country. Ah, I am sad at parting. The mist descends, said Taketori. Nay, said the Mikado, It is the cohorts of the King of the Moon. Down they came in their hundreds and their thousands, bearing torches. Silently they came and lighted round about the garden gallery. Chief among them was brought a heavenly feather robe. Up rose the lady beaming bright, and put the robe upon her. Farewell, Taketori, she said. Farewell, my dear foster mother. I leave you my jewel for remembrance, and for you, my lord. I would you might come with me, but there is no feather robe for you. I leave you a phial of the pure elixir of life. Drink, my lord, and be as the immortals. Then she spread her bright wings, and the cohorts of heaven closed about her. Together they passed up the highway to the moon, and were no more seen. The Mikado took the elixir of life in his hand, and he went to the top of the highest mountain country, and he made a great fire to consume the elixir of life. For he said, of what profit shall it be to me to live forever, being parted from the lady beaming bright? So the elixir of life was consumed, and its blue vapor floated up to heaven. And the Mikado said, let my message float up with the vapor and reach the ears of my lady beaming bright. And that was the Moon Maiden. I think that was really cute. Would you all have taken the elixir of life at the end? Or would you also have destroyed it? If there was no chance that I would ever see my beloved again, I would not want to live forever. I feel I would choose the same path. Appleton, thank you so much for your Prime sub. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy your emotes for the channel. Living forever is a curse, I agree. That is why I don't know if you know some of the lore of my Green Witch character, but she technically lives forever. Which she was cursed for that back in the day, but it's a broken immortality. Her memory slowly slips away from her, and she will forget her past slowly over time. If she's ever killed, she'll lose a large chunk of memories. It'll be random, but she does lose them. So, theoretically, my Green Witch is immortal, but, it's not a good kind of immortal. Alright, I think we have time for one more story. Let's see. Oh, Emma. You'd take the elixir, so you'd have an immortal friend with me. And when I lose my memories, scrapbook of all our adventures. Oh, I'm gonna cry. I think that's the sweetest thing anyone's ever said to me. Honestly. This is Doctor Who and the Master thing right here. Oh yeah, you're right. Alright, for our last story, I was thinking of reading The Singing Bird of Heaven or The Spring Lover and the Autumn Lover. Which would you all prefer? Do you want The Singing Bird of Heaven or The Spring Lover and the Autumn Lover? You all are so kind. You really, really are. Spring and autumn? Okay. Okay. The Spring Lover and the Autumn Lover. This is a story of the youth of Yamato, when the gods still walked upon the land of the reed plains and took pleasure in the fresh and waving rice ears of the countryside. There was a lady having in her something of earth and something of heaven. She was a king's daughter. She was augustly radiant and renowned. She was called the dear delight of the world, the greatly desired, the fairest of the fair. She was slender and strong, at once mysterious and gay, fickle yet faithful, gentle yet hard to please. Gods loved her, but men worshipped her. Coming of the dear delight was on this wise. Prince Ama-boku had a red jewel of one of his enemies. The jewel was a peace offering. Prince Ama-boku set it in a casket upon a stand. He said, "This is a jewel of price." Then the jewel was transformed into an exceedingly fair lady. Her name was the Lady of the Red Jewel, and Prince Ama-boku took her to wife. There was born to them only one daughter, was the greatly desired, fairest of the fair. It is true that 80 men of name came to seek her hand. Princes they were, and warriors, and deities. They came from near, they came from far. Across the sea path they came in great ships. White sails were creaking oars. Brave and lusty sailors. Through the forest dark and dangerous, they made their way to the princess, the greatly desired, for lightly Lightly they descended by way of the floating bridge in garments of glamour, silver shod. They brought their gifts with them, gold, fair jewels upon a string, light garments of feathers, singing birds, sweet things to eat. Sorry, 1 second, I had to sip my tea. Sweet things to eat, silk cocoons, oranges in a basket. They brought minstrels and singers and dancers and tellers of tales to entertain the princess, the greatly desired. As for the princess, she sat still in her white bower, with her maidens about her. Passing rich was her robe, and ever and anon her maidens spread it afresh over the mats, set out her deep sleeves, combed her long hair with a golden comb. Round about the bower was a gallery of white wood, and here the suitors came and knelt presence of their liege lady. Many and many time carp leapt in the garden fish pond. Many and many a time a scarlet pomegranate flower fluttered and dropped from the tree. Many and many a time lady shook her head, and a lover went his way, sad and sorry. Now it happened that the god of autumn went to try his fortune with the princess. He was a brave young man indeed. Ardent were his eyes, the color flamed in his dark cheek. He was girded with a sword that 10 men could not lift. The chrysanthemums of autumn burned upon his coat in cunning broidery. He came and bent his proud head to the very ground before the princess, then raised it and looked her full in the eyes. She opened her sweet red lips, waited, said nothing, but shook her head. So the god of autumn went forth from her presence, blinded with his bitter tears. He found his younger brother, the god of spring. "How fares it with you, my brother?" said the god of spring. "Ill, ill indeed, for she will not have me. She is the proud lady, mine is the broken heart." "Ah, my brother," said the god of spring, "you'd best come home with me, for all is over with us," said the god of autumn. But the god of spring said, "I stay here." "What?" cried his brother. "It is likely, then, that she will take you if she'll have none of me. Will she love the smooth cheeks of a child and flout the man full grown? you go to her, brother. She'll laugh at you for your pains. Hello, Marshy. It's very good to see you. This is a special ASMR stream, which was a milestone in our last charity drive. We're just reading Japanese folk stories, so please sit back and listen. I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for the head pats. I don't have them turned on in this scene, but I appreciate you. Still I will go, said the god of spring. A wager, the god of autumn cried. I'll give you a cask of sake if you win her. Sake for the merry feast of your wedding. If you lose her, sake be for me. I'll drown my grief in it. Well, brother, said the god of spring, I'll take the wager. You'll have your sake like enough indeed. So I think, said the god of autumn, and went his way. Then the young god of spring went to his mother, who loved him. Do you love me, mother? He said. She answered, more than 100 existences. Mother, he said, get me for my wife, the princess, the fairest of the fair. She is called the greatly desired. Greatly, oh, greatly do I desire her. Do you love her, my son? More than 100 existences, he said. Then lie down, my son, my best beloved. Lie down and sleep. I will work for you. Thank you so much for the follow. Sam Iabi? I hope I said your name right. I hope you're having a lovely day. So she spread a couch for him, and when he was asleep, she looked on him. Your face, she said, is the sweetest thing in the world. There was no sleep for her the livelong night. She went swiftly to a place she knew of, where the wisteria drooped over a still pond. She plucked her sprays and tendrils, and brought home as much as she could carry. The wisteria was white and purple, and she must know it was not yet in flower, but hidden in the unopened bud. From it she wove a magical robe. She fashioned sandals also, and a bow and arrows. In the morning she waked the god of spring. Come, my son, she said, let me put this robe on you. God of spring rubbed his eyes. Somber suit for courting, he said, but he did as his mother bade him, and he bound the sandals on his feet, slung the bow and the arrows in their quiver on his back. Will all be well, my mother, he said. All will be well, beloved, she answered him. So the god of spring came before the fairest of the fair, and one of her maidens laughed and said, See, mistress, there comes to woo you today only a little plain boy, all somber gray. But the fairest of the fair lifted her eyes and looked upon the god of spring, and in the same moment the wisteria with which his cloth burst into flower, he was sweet-scented, white and purple from head to heel. The princess rose from the white mats. "Lord," she said, "I am yours if you will have me." Hand in hand they went together to the mother of the god of spring. "Ah, my mother," he said, "what shall I do now? My brother, the god of autumn, is angry with me. He will not give me the sake I won from him in a wager. Great is his rage. Seek to take our lives." "Be still, beloved," said his mother, "and fear not." She took a cane of hollow bamboo, and in the hollow she put salt and stones, and when she wrapped the cane around with leaves, she hung it in the smoke of the fire. She said, "The green leaves fade and die, so you must do, my eldest born, the god of autumn. The stone sinks in the sea, so you must sink. You must sink, you must fail, like the ebb tide." Now the tale is told, and all the world knows why spring is fresh and merry and young, and the autumn is the saddest thing that is. And that was the spring lover and the autumn lover. I hope you liked the 3 stories we read today. You're amazing, Emma. We have reached our 1 hour, so thank you everyone for sticking around for the ASMR stream. I will probably never do this again unless there is another milestone in a charity event that we hit. Or if you all beg me, we'll see. I love you all so much. I really, really appreciate you coming in for this silly little stream. Do this again. I'll think about it. Might be willing to beg. Oh no. We'll see. We'll see, Appleton. We usually raid people after a stream. Let me see if there's anyone on right now. I don't really want to send you anywhere loud because we are doing ASMR. Let's see. Okay, I'm looking through the other ASMR people today to see if there's someone else that we can raid. Unless someone in chat has a suggestion on another ASMR streamer you would like to go raid. Thank you for the lovely stream. Thank you, Emma. You are the sweetest of beings, lovely, lovely Emma. And if you ever want me to read to you, I will, 'cause I love reading stories. Stories are one of my favorite things. I actually wanted to be like one of those book reading audiobook people. I'm sure there's a proper name for them, but I don't know what it is. It's fine, don't worry about it. Okay. It looks like I did find. Can I send you poems and short stories? Yes, of course. I would love to read your poems and short stories on another stream. This was only a 1 hour stream today. Oh, there's Stream Elements. Hey, there's my webcomic link. It took it an hour. What the flip? Why did it take you an hour? Stream Elements, you silly bee. Oh, anyway, okay. You accepted snail offer? Well, I have poetry as well. I love writing poetry. I think Stream Elements is just being rebellious tonight, Snail. Maybe just ignore it. Okay, so, I have one person. It says they're in ASMR. It looks like they're playing a game called Cats in Time. Their name is Ergo. Corvus. They're really, really sweet. So, I'm gonna send you guys over to Ergo tonight. I will be back tomorrow for Mario Sunshine, and we're gonna start that game. I will not 100% it, but I will play it. So, stick around for just one moment while we go raid Ergo. Gosh darn it, the bot's being silly. Okay, raid command is ASMR raid. Oh wait, ASMR Cath raid with we'll use a swoon emote today. So if you have the channel emotes, we'll use this raid command for today. If you don't have my emotes, that's okay. You can put whatever emote you want at the end. Thank you everyone so much for hanging out with me today. You are very precious to me, and I hope you have a lovely evening. Sleep well. Good night.